Hello everyone, and welcome to another paperback journey where today I'm going to be talking about the books that I'm most excited to be reading in 2024. I spent so much of last year reading Stephen King. It probably consumed about 50% of my reading life, and I loved it. The Journey to the Dark Tower, the multiverse, just an incredible journey. I'm really glad I did it, but this year, although I'll still read a bit of Stephen King and there's plenty to choose from, right? I do want to spread my wings and read a little more broadly, both in the authors that I read and also in the genres that I read. Some of these are going to be big fat series that I've been looking forward to diving into. Some of them are going to be standalone books that I've been intimidated by for a while, but I'm ready to take the challenge. There's going to be some fantasy, some sci-fi, some horror, and just pretty eclectic collection. So let's get started with the first book, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Oh man, I'm really excited for this one. It's a standalone sci-fi, and Blake Crouch is an author that I haven't read before, but he's got this massive reputation for writing kind of like mind-bending sci-fi that makes you kind of question reality a little bit. After reading The Dark Tower, which had elements of sci-fi and also alternate universes, I'm excited to see how Blake Crouch handles parallel universes. And while we're on the subject of Blake Crouch, why not? Why not read Upgrade by Blake Crouch? This book is, as far as I'm aware, about genetic engineering and the kind of ethical dilemmas surrounding that. I'm always interested in sci-fi when it kind of poses a question about, is this right? If we could do this, should we do this? Are the benefits worth the cost? And more than anything though, I'm just excited to find out, what is this hype around Blake Crouch? Is he as good as I've been led to believe? So both of those books I'm really excited for. And talking about hype and writers that have a lot of hype surrounding them, this author, everyone's going to know this guy, especially on Book Talk, BookTube. Everyone's going to know this guy. It's Brandon Sanderson. And I am a little bit nervous about the Stormlight Archive. I mean, they're pretty chunky, for one thing. Everyone just talks about how phenomenal they are. But let me tell you why I'm a little bit apprehensive. I actually read the Mistborn series and didn't love it. Don't get me wrong. There were elements of the Mistborn series that I really enjoyed. For example, famously, the magic system. The magic system is, in the Mistborn series, is the best I've ever read. It was so detailed, burning the metals, burning pewter, burning silver. It was so detailed that it felt as though I was learning a skill. And I love that. It was so different for me to see that hard magic system. This was a rock solid magic system. So that was fantastic. What I didn't like as much, and I'm not going to go too much into detail because this isn't like a Mistborn review, but what I didn't like very much were like the characters. Didn't really care that much for Vin. Kind of disliked Kelsier, to be honest. I don't know if I was supposed to dislike Kelsier, but yeah, didn't really like him at all. But there were some characters I liked. I remember one of them was called Breeze. It was a while ago that I read it. Breeze, I kind of liked him, and I also liked the guy that could make himself weak and then store up the strength to use later. He was really cool. I enjoyed him a lot. But yeah, I mean, people just love Brandon Sanderson. And so I think that I need to give him another chance. Everybody says that this is a fantastic series to dive into. Stormlight Archive. I don't know. I'm definitely going to read the first book 100% and see how I feel after that, because it is a big commitment. These are fat boys. The next book that I am excited and, well, equal parts excited and nervous to read is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. I would normally say Mark Z. Danielewski, but I don't want to start and fight with Americans, you know? This book is like such an object of curiosity to me, and it's kind of infamous for its strange narrative style, but even more than that, it's strange formatting. Like, look at this page. Don't look too closely, just in case there's spoilers. But yeah, like, look, just. But then there'll be pages that are kind of like this, and so it's, you know, apparently there's. I'm just trying to skim through here. Yeah, look, for example, this little section here's got a blue square around it. Just really strange formatting, and a lot of people say that it's extremely haunting and very affecting. And so, yeah, I'm so curious about this. You know, a lot of people have been talking about it over the last couple of years, and I feel as though I'm missing out, and I need to read it so that I can talk to people about it. It does sound pretty good. It's about a house which is somehow larger on the inside than it is on the outside, and the mystery and the history surrounding this house. And it's told from the perspective of people that have lived there, people that have made documentary films about it, tattoo artists that have found the script of a movie that was going to be written about this house, and they're kind of writing in the columns and talking about, you know, little things that they're noticing about the house. It's told from all these different perspectives, kind of all at once. Just sounds fascinating, you know, so really excited / intimidated to read House of Leaves. The next books that I'm going to be reading in 2024 is another series that's got a lot of hype surrounding it, and that is the Red Rising series. There's another book that's coming out this year in paperback form, already out in hardback form, but it's coming out in paperback. Originally, I kind of always thought that these books were young adult, but I've read the first book, Red Rising, already in January, and you know, it kind of felt in some places a little bit young adult, especially because the characters were all in their kind of late teens and early 20s, but there were some parts that were just so dark and so graphic that it made me think, yeah, maybe this isn't young adult. You know, maybe this isn't just for young people. Yeah, quite a lot of things which I think would maybe require a trigger warning. Specifically, quite a lot of essay involved in it. You know, maybe too much. Maybe too much. On that, but I'll give my full review of Red Rising and everything that I thought about it on my YouTube channel coming up soon. Yet another book that I'm excited and intimidated to read is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. This takes place in, I think it's like the 1850s on the Texas-Mexico border, and there is, in these days, a market for Native American scalps. So sounds really heavy. My cousin read it recently and said that it was difficult to read in two different ways. It was quite dense, the language, but also the violence was just so overwhelming that he said by the end of it, you almost became numb to it. And maybe that is the point of the book. I don't know. But I read The Road by Cormac McCarthy last year, and instantly The Road is one of my favorite books, I think, of all time. Certainly it's top 10. It was so beautifully written. I loved The Road so much. It of course was very dark, but worth it, worth the darkness. I wonder if Blood Meridian is going to be the same, or if it's going to be maybe a step too far for me. Who knows? Another series that I'm really excited to dive into is the grim dark fantasy series of Joe Abercrombie, including, and I've got these books here, Sharp Ends, Red Country, and The Heroes. These all exist in the same world as the First Law trilogy, which I read last year. And I don't know, man, I think that might be maybe my favorite fantasy trilogy of all time. I want to go deeper into the world. I want to meet more of the characters. And honestly, I think my plan is for Joe Abercrombie this year is to read everything that he's ever written set in this universe. So I think it's these three books, and then I think there's another trilogy. I've already read The First Law, and apparently these books And the stories contained in these books are even better than the First Law trilogy. Can that be possible? Can it get better? Hopefully. When I was reading the First Law trilogy, just as a little side note, I was I was reading it, the physical copies, and then also when I was on the treadmill and stuff or doing things, I was listening to the audiobook, and I've got to say, Stephen Pacey is just an incredible narrator. I'm actually a voice actor myself. I wish I could be as good as Stephen Pacey. You know, he just brings this whole world to life. The character voices are so distinct. He's phenomenal. So if you get the chance, I would say maybe listen to the audiobook because Stephen Pacey is incredible. A book which I've started to read already is Shogun by James Clavell. I don't really read enough historical fiction, and Shogun is like a deep dive into the beautiful kind of historical setting of feudal Japan. They've actually got a TV shows. I think it's FX coming out with a TV show of Shogun later on this month, and so I'm in a race of whether or not I can finish Shogun by the end of February when the show begins so that me and my wife can just watch it together. But I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm about 30% of the way in, but this is a big fat book. I actually don't have a physical copy of this book. I'm just reading it mostly on the Kindle, and the reason that I don't have a physical copy is that they actually took the copy that I really wanted to buy, this nice black cover with Shogun and the samurai sword on the front. I'll probably put a picture of it somewhere here. And that edition is no longer available. And now the only edition that they've got available is the TV series tie-in copy. And by the way, nobody wants that. Nobody wants the little sticker on the cover that says coming out on Hulu or whatever the streaming service is, and it's got the actors on the front. Nobody wants that. I don't know why you're doing that. It's so... Anyway, rant over. Shogun is the story of John Blackthorne arriving on the shores of feudal Japan. And he is the captain of a Dutch merchant ship, but they're kind of a little bit piratey. They're going around capturing up all this plunder as they try and make their way across a map. They've got this book called a rudder that they've stolen from Portuguese sailors, and this is the only way that they're able to navigate the sea. The prospect of seeing this setting through the eyes of an outsider, along with the intricate politics and the samurai culture, it's just really enticing to me. And I've seen some reviews where people have spoken about Shogun and said that this is such an immersive book. And so far, 30% in, I can completely agree. I think it's maybe due to the pacing, but something about it just makes it feel like this book is real. I don't know. The dialogue is so good. The character motivations are so distinct from one another, and there's a lot of backstabbing going on. Yeah, I think if you don't read this book, at least you've got to watch the show, I think, because I really think it's going to be phenomenal. And I'm really enjoying the book. I've got a few weeks to finish it. It's massive, though. To put it in terms of, like, for example, audiobook size, the audiobook is 65 hours. So this is going to be me for the month, basically. Next book I'm really excited to read is Foe by Ian Reid. Last year, I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things by the same author. And for about 6 months, it was my favorite book that I read that year, until I read Frankenstein, which I think probably Frankenstein is the best book that I read in 2023, honestly. Yeah, I'm Thinking of Ending Things was definitely a top 3 read for me. I just really enjoy the way that Ian Reid can kind of mess with your head and create like an eerie atmosphere that makes you question what's real and what is there to be afraid of in this situation? You know that you should be afraid, you know, because you feel as though you're seeing the world through the eyes of the protagonist. You know that there is something to fear, but you're not sure what it is until the very end when everything becomes apparent. And Ian Reid is really good at doing that. This book in particular is about a couple who are living on an isolated farm. You know, things are going okay. But then they get a visit from a mysterious stranger who tells the husband or the boyfriend, I'm not sure, that he needs to come with him, and that the wife is going to be living alone on the farm, but not to worry because this mysterious character has arranged for company to stay with the wife. Really ambiguous, unsettling, just pure Ian Reid. Next up, I'm really excited to finish the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy. I started the Three Body Problem last year, and it was just fantastic. Top 5? Yeah, top 5 of 2023. I really loved it. It's hard science fiction. Yeah, man. Phenomenal, and I can't wait to dive into the rest of the trilogy, to finish the trilogy this year. Lots of series and lots of trilogies that I'm going to be reading this year, but I'm excited for all of them. And again, this is another book series that has a television show that's going to be coming out. I think the Three Body Problem comes out in maybe March or April time. So yeah, I can just sit there with my wife and watch the show and just go, a little bit different to how they did it in the book, but okay. Oh, that's an interesting choice. You know, half the reason I read is just so that I can annoy my wife when the TV adaptations come out. So yeah, those are the books that I'm most excited to read in 2024, but there are also books that are coming out in 2024 that I'm really anticipating, I think they're going to be good. And if you'd like to see the books that I'm most excited to read that are being released in 2024, then you can click up here. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and happy reading.